Right.
The verses and the choruses are the exact same chord progressions over and over. The drum beats don't even change, or the beats don't change. Can't call it drums, but it's really the melodies and the lyrics. And I think that for the longest time we were sort of told to corner ourselves into the songwriting structure of, okay, it's verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse 2, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, either pre-chorus into chorus or double chorus. So it was like there was this formula, and we basically had to follow it. Because if we didn't, then obviously A&R would get their knickers in a knot, and we'd have to go back and appease them. And I'm glad that we don't have to do that anymore, because once you feel like you have to write stuff a certain way, it's funny. I had to almost break the habit when we did the first album that I produced. I was still kind of locked into that mode of thinking, because I was expecting that as the pushback from A&R. Right. And it's like,
sure,
well, I know they're going to want a pre-chorus here, or they're going to want to do this, or we have to hit the chorus by the first minute. Otherwise the song's, all of these stupid things that these A&R clowns tell you over the years that they might just throw out, not realizing how important of an impact that can have, because they are the ones, telling you how to shape your music. They're saying, all right, well, this needs to be 3 minutes long, no longer than that, because radio won't play anything that's longer. I'm like, God, I don't care. Like, I don't care. It's like, why do we have to change the song for the specific purpose to appease? Now, sure, radio is obviously something we have to be symbiotic with, and we certainly have to all get along. But once the song is done, surely we can then pare it down to make everybody happy. But the album version needs to be what the vision is. And I know that sounds kind of pretentious in a way, I guess. I don't know, maybe it doesn't. But it's just that there's a way that I was told to do stuff for so long that when it came to writing for these newer albums, I had to break the habit, because I was like, well, I was forcing myself to insert a pre-chorus when I didn't really feel like the song needed it. But in the back of my mind, I was still hearing this A&R clown going, "Where's the pre-chorus?" And so it was interesting, because a lot of the songs don't have pre-choruses. In fact, some of them don't have. They just go straight into a chorus, like songs used to do. Right. But there was this golden age of rock, I guess, where everybody followed that sort of formula. And yeah, it's liberating to get out of that box and just write. And some stuff that I write doesn't even have a repeating chorus. Not on this album, but there's certainly some sides and stuff that just, as long as the song feels correct and it feels like it's done and it feels like it's flowing, I don't really care anymore about, okay, this needs to follow this pattern to appease these corporate people so they can go and clap each other on the backs and say what a great job they did. With every album that we do, we seem to be getting closer and closer to the kind of sound that I've always been hearing us, or the sound that I've always been hearing for us as a band. Now, the years gone by, there were some great producers and some really, really crappy ones. And great would be Brendan O'Brien. The rest fall in the other category. So, work that out, I guess. But you learn from all these people, and with their weaknesses and their faults, even great guys like Brendan O'Brien, the one thing I felt was missing was that it didn't necessarily completely represent us. He's great. I love the guy as a person. I loved working with him. I loved what I learned from him the most. I think had we not worked with him, I wouldn't have had the courage to say, all right, I think I'm going to step up now and do the production, because I do 90% of it anyway when I'm writing. So when it comes into the studio and a producer like Brendan, the first album we did with Brendan, he had a lot of notes and a lot of rewrites and a lot of, back and forth. But then the second album with Brendan, he had no notes, really, nothing of consequence necessarily. It was like little things here and there. And that was a big, a big feather in my cap, I'd say, as far as songwriting goes, because he's quite particular in who he works with. And he had gone to bat for me with the old label, saying, he was the go-between, telling them that they had to leave me alone and that we would get through the album and the songs were fine. They just need to back off. Yeah, it's funny. I think you've mentioned it now, and maybe somebody else mentioned it, but I had no idea it was the 9th one. In my mind, I thought we were only. Seriously, it felt like maybe 5 or 6. You know what I mean? It's crazy how that's the other thing I haven't really kept track of. I've never really looked back and said, okay, so what is the discography? What have we got so far? you go through the career and you get these cool little plaques and things every once in a while. And for the most part, mine tend to gather dust, or I'm looking at some that are hanging now because my wife insisted that I get them off the floor, but there's most of them are still on the floor, kind of just taking up space. So you don't really ever think of it, of that side of it, but 9 is crazy. That's 8 more than I thought we'd ever get to do. And certainly when I was a kid, that's 9 more than I thought we would do. So it's great to still be here. I think the best part too is that just as a band, we're all in a really good spot together. We're all in really good spots in our lives. Everyone's kind of figured out and ironed out all of the juvenile behaviors and the sort of cliches that come with rock music, and we're all just kind of like, somebody said it the other day that we're basically dad rock now, and I was like, damn it, man. But you know what? I'm just going to lean into it, I guess. I am a dad, and we all are.
There you go, yeah.
Technically, we are dads playing to kids and to other dads. So yeah, we'll just happily take on the dad rock moniker and keep on rolling. Yeah, the first year of my son being born, it was a lot. I had to be present for all of the newborn type stuff, and not that I say had to, but I was really happy to do it. But now that he's older and he's just started daycare literally yesterday, and my daughter starts school next week or goes back to school next week, so she'll be in 2nd grade. So it'll be nice to have the daytime where you don't have to necessarily dedicate 24 hours of your day to keeping children alive. It's like for a couple of hours a day, they can go and they can learn some things at school, and they can mingle with some friends and things. And then that opens my wife and I up to, all right, well, now I've got some, there's a lot of projects around the house too that have been undone. Like,
sure. Yeah.
My wife always has a project that she wants me to do. So I currently have a guest bathroom. I'm about to start remodeling. And those are fun things that you get to do. But usually we have to wait till like my son's asleep and he takes a 2-hour nap. So you've got that 2-hour window of like, right, what can we do real quick without him running between our legs? You know what I mean?
Yeah, Shaun, I've never felt more connected to a rock star than I do right now.
And it's all incredibly fun, and it's
absolutely,
all, but I'm not kidding. I actually had to download a decimeter to my phone, and I got a couple just to make sure I wasn't out losing my mind. But very often, with these 2 kids in the house, it's hitting 110 dB, and it's purely from the older one teasing the younger one, and then he screams bloody murder, and it's like the equivalent, I think, of being inside a train station. And so you think you endure about, I don't know, it's mostly in the afternoons. They dive off this cliff of insanity, and it becomes this mosh pit in my living room. And it's like, you get 2-3 solid hours of just literal eardrum rattling, eye shaking noise, and by the time they go to bed, it's almost like you have this adrenaline crash.
Yeah,
but yeah, so all of that is
blessings, man. They're blessings.
They are blessings. Jury's out, but no. So it's definitely a great. It's a massive privilege and an honor to be their parents and to be a dad, and it's wonderful. But having said that, my job always has been and still is to tour.
This new album, The Surface Seems So Far, it is out on September 20th. And, in celebration of that, you guys are hitting the road, like you said, with Skillet, but also with Tim Montana and Royal Lynn.